Hey, so it's Jen from Living Genuinely, and I just needed to come in here because, as promised, this is where I share 30 years worth of journaling with you and lessons I've learned, and hopefully some encouragement along the way. I know we're in all different ages and stages and phases of our life, going through different things, and different seasons for sure. I think of the song "To Everything There Is a Season." It's an oldie but a goodie, and so, so true. And I came across one of my journals. Here it is. So a lot of these are from Walmart. They have like that kind of binding on them, and they're really thin, like this. This particular brand is the Enchanted collection from Pink Light Design. They do have a website, pinklightdesign.com. I like the feel of them, and they're very easy to kind of store and work with. And my journals have always been a myriad of things. They're not always the same kind of journaling. Sometimes, like I said, they've been prayers. Sometimes they're very like notes on books or lists. And sometimes they're just like random thoughts. I found this one, and it is from 2016. And it actually brought me to tears when I was reading it. So I'm glad I'm doing this later. But this was a list of accomplishments. And the reason that it brought me to tears was because I remember, like, one of the things that this was early on in our business. And we had bought a new piece of equipment, and it was a big purchase for us at the time. I think it was about $4,500 or $5,000, and we had never done any work with that kind of equipment. And so it was a big leap for us, and we quickly made that money back, thanks to my husband, who did a really great job of kind of putting it out there. And, just a note from him, he has done a great job of just asking, right? We get so caught up in our heads sometimes about like what we have to offer, or maybe we don't know what we need to know, or we're not ready yet, and we get all in our head. And he is like a fast action taker, and it as a planner, it's made me super uncomfortable, but I've learned from his example kind of how to just take action. And so that paid for itself many times over. In fact, we're going to head back to Indiana and use that very piece of equipment on a job here in a couple weeks. And so then there were notes about my kids going to college. My oldest son transferred from one college to another that year, and my youngest son was in high school, probably about his sophomore year or so. And then I got our basement cleaned out. And the cool thing about that is shortly after that, we completely remodeled the basement and have since sold that house and made a decent sized amount of money for that property. And we're in this new chapter of life. It feels very scary. And like I said, sometimes when you have a journal and you've like kept that, it's valuable. Don't let anybody tell you it's not, because just reading that, like I said, it brought me to tears in a happy way. It was like, oh my gosh, we had gone to a trip in Utah and in Chattanooga, and it just brought a smile to my face to think of those trips and adventures that we went on as a family. There was also some difficult situations that we weathered with another family member. And, it just reminds you that there are seasons in life, and they don't last forever. They change, and they look vastly different. That was 2016. We're in 2023, so not quite 10 years. But my life is like radically different. And so even in setting like goals and visions for 10 years from now, I know that my tendency is to have like this doable plan and this like realistic whatever, or my tendency can also be to like shoot for the moon. And I usually just land somewhere in between, but I never want to shoot too low. So I encourage you, if you have a vision for 10 years in your life, I want to also say, like, in this same journal, there are some goals that I had written down that I didn't achieve. And that's okay. That's all right, you know? So sometimes that requires you finding a coach or finding someone to walk you through that. Sometimes it means letting go of that goal for a season. Sometimes it means shifting gears a little bit in your approach. But you really need to check in with yourself and make sure that whatever that goal is something coming from you. Not what society says needs to be, not what your parents said it needs to be, not what your spouse says or what culture says, you know, or some book, you know, like make it come from you. And that might be difficult to figure out. You know, it may have been a long time since you've consulted yourself and it may take you a minute to find her, but you can. And there are plenty of ways to do that. There are some great resources and books. I always point people to Melissa Catherine Farley. She is an expert at sort of finding that woman who's been buried under a bunch of stuff, you know, that doesn't belong to you or no longer serves you. And there's a myriad of other resources online for that. But uncovering that story, let yourself in your journal run wild. One exercise that you can do is kind of write out like things that have made you really proud in your life. Just write down everything that you've ever done that's made you really proud. And then kind of write out the characteristics that it took to do that. And the cool thing is, when you get done with that list of characteristics, you're that. You are those things. So whether it was tenacious, resilient, bold, daring, brave, courageous, whatever words resonate with you, then adopt those as your own. Maybe it's stylish, maybe it was fun, maybe it was fiery, you know, whatever words really resonate with you. And then say that about yourself to yourself every single day. So in your journal, you write down, first of all of the things that you've done that have made you proud. Maybe you got your first apartment, or maybe you got some educational degree or certificate or something like that. Maybe you ran a half marathon. Maybe you made it through a difficult time. We all have those. And it doesn't have to be something super crazy. It could be like, I planted this amazing garden in my front yard and I'm really doggone proud of myself. It took some hard work and I did it. And it took me sticking to it and some focus. So then once you write down your list of things that you've accomplished, like here, this was my list of accomplishments in 2016 that made me really proud. Next to it, what did it take? What characteristics did it take for you to accomplish those things? And then once you write down those characteristics, there's where your affirmations are. You have proof. You are already that. It's not fake it till you make it. You're already her. Sure, life circumstances, seasons change. They do. That is life. Seasons change. But you're still her. Okay? You're still that person. So don't ever let anybody tell you anything different. And most of all, you don't tell yourself something different. Make sure that you are encouraging yourself first and foremost. Make sure you're doing that. And so say whatever it is, I am brave. I am courageous. I am daring. I am bold. I am fun. I am fiery. I am smart. I am capable. I am focused. I am organized. I am motivated. Whatever it is, say those things to yourself every single day and you will start to feel it again. So I hope that encourages you. Make sure to make that list. It doesn't have to take you an hour. That's another thing I want to be very clear on. A lot of these journaling exercises that I'm going to present to you are not things that are designed. Get into that quick action like my husband. Not designed to take you hours and hours and hours to do. Literally, if you did this, it would take you 5 minutes and it would make a world of difference. So I hope that encourages you today to live genuinely. Thank you guys. See you again.